Hey guys, today is October 26th of 2020 and I'm going to do a short little spill about politics. I know my last video was about politics and I feel a need to say this because if I can just reach one person, that's just one more person. So what I ask you guys, those of you who are registered, if you're undecided, ask yourself, do the two gentlemen in this race for president match up to your values and are morally confident and hold themselves as a leader in morale and with their morals and how they view life and how they handle people and how they talk to people and all that. We won't always agree with the people who are leaders in our government with their policies or the way they think things should be. But we do need someone in there that doesn't, that knows what they're involved in foreign policy, in other countries, um, understand that we need to be more allies than enemies. We need to hold dictators accountable for their actions. We need to band together with other countries that feel the same way. Uh, Even in domestic policies, in the way you treat the American people, I just want you to really look at yourself and how you treat people and how you want to be treated and ask yourself which candidate best fits that. And if you're not registered to vote and you still have time in your state, please go vote. Go voice your choice because your vote does matter. The majority matters. And I used to feel that way too. And guess what? I started complaining a lot about who got elected and what they're doing. And you know what? I needed to put my foot in my mouth because I didn't vote. And I have family members that voice their opinions all the time, but they don't go vote. But I don't talk politics with my family, as I've said, because they all registered Republican to keep their guns. Yeah. So, and they really, well, anyway, I'm not going to go there. So I just ask yourself, this is my last pitch. Please consider, if you're undecided, consider which one is a decent human being. Which one can bring this country out from this pandemic and start to heal. We're going to hit rock bottom economically. And we've been dealt a deck of cards that didn't respond in the first place. So whoever goes, well, if Biden gets in, he's going to be handed a handful to clean up. So please be slow to judge. Give him time. If that's who you're going for, understand there's a mess. There's a mess. Our government is in disarray. We have people in places that are not qualified. It's just a mess. So I ask all of you to evaluate who you're voting for and why, and how does this person best represent you. Okay, that's it for politics for me. So let's talk a little bit about transitioning. So I'm having surgery November 5th. I'm having my second malleable rod removed, and I am going to go with the pump. The first one failed me, and I think it happened the night of surgery because when I went to get in the bed at the hotel, I felt a pop. And Dr. Chen kept checking it and didn't feel like it was quite loose or anything, but then the thing lost form and it just, you could turn it around like this and you could feel it on the base of my pelvic, and it, anyway, well, this one's starting to do that. And I did hit the ground pretty fast without thinking, and I had instant pain in my pelvis. And I was like, oh no. And then that was back in February, and I just kind of nurturing it, because of the pandemic and stuff. But it's doing what the other one did and losing its form, and yeah. Anyway, so that being said, the reason why I'm going with the pump and not a third rod is because, one, I think I'm too rough. I guess I don't think about when I'm doing things if it's going to pop something out. Uh, And two, the pump does give some girth, and that's all I was worried about in the first place. Uh, it keeps it from feeling like a piece of skin hanging, and that's how I felt about it before. That doesn't mean that if you don't want a rod or pump, that doesn't mean that you have a piece of skin hanging and that's your mentality towards it. That was just mine. Um, the doctor uh, called me the other day, confirmed the appointment, and I'm actually catching a ride home with ride there with one of the guys here that lives in my town. He's part of the group. We're both actually having the same kind of surgery on the same day. So I asked if I could hitch a ride, and he confirmed it with his driver, and they're going to pick me up. I talked to the doctor, and she's going to discharge us at the same time so we can ride home at the same time. So, or leave at the same time. So that's all worked out for me. I was kind of stressed about that. My wife has never driven in LA, and I didn't want her to because the area where where we're going is not the best area from what I've seen. Um, as far as I'm coming up on 9 years. Oh, I'm going to be 59. Wow. I'm always a year behind. I don't know why I always think I'm a year younger than I'm going to be. Yeah, so December, on my 50th birthday, that's when I got my first testosterone shot. I started transitioning in September of that year, and then started the shots in December. So yeah, I'm going to be 59. Sorry about that. Uh, I have to say, and I think about my transition a lot because I do a lot of painting. And when I paint, I just reminisce. I think about what was, I think about what is, I think about what might be or how it could be. And I just kind of go through things, all my experiences. I don't relive them, but I think about where I was and how far I've come. I think about how I was uh, raised, in the behaviors that I was raised in the ideology that I was raised in, and how I was different from that growing up. And one thing I have to say, and I probably, if you've stayed with me through all my videos, I don't know if you'll remember, but I have said this before. My parents were not perfect. They were children raising children. My mom had 5 kids. I'm the oldest, within 6 years. So they just, yeah, went da 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 da, you know. But my dad was raised in a religious home. Now, his parents weren't always religious, but became religious in his life at a certain time, and I don't know that when. And my mom didn't come from a religious home, but she did come from a dysfunctioning family. So when I was growing up, through my eyes, it was very natural for me just to do things like a boy would. And my dad, he just knew I was a boy. He just knew I was going to be a boy. And he actually went and got drunk the day I was born because I wasn't a boy. But as I grew up, the things I was interested in, the way I held myself, I mean, it was very natural for me when they got me my first bicycle. It was very natural for me to want to learn how to work on it. And my dad showed me the tools. And the one thing he told me is if you do not put these tools away after you use them, you will not be allowed to use them again. And I knew he meant it because he didn't threaten things unless he was going to carry them out. But I was just, they never mandated how I was supposed to dress, how I was supposed to act. Now, when I went to school, girls had to wear dresses. And it was up until my fourth grade year that we got to change, no, fifth grade year, that we got to go to pants if we wanted to. And I had a teacher tell me one time, "You never wear a dress anymore." I didn't know what to say to her. I just kind of went off on the playground and I didn't know what to say to her, like I did something bad. But my parents never put me in a box. Even though my dad put himself in a box, my dad put himself in a black and white world in a lot of areas that he struggled with. And he struggled with it even more because of that mentality. But he was very proud of the person I was because, his oldest sister, which he only had two, his oldest sister, her firstborn son, was 10 months younger than me. So we grew up together and we fought, not just argue, we fist fought. And I remember my dad, betting on me that I was going to win to his dad, and I would win, or my aunt would come out and say, "You're a girl, you're not supposed to fight." That's the only time something ever told me that I couldn't do something that was natural for me. And so when I'm painting, I'm looking back on how I felt as a kid. What did I see through my eyes? And I'm thinking it's the same thing I see through my eyes now. I just was there. I was me. Now, when puberty hit, my dad's mother, my grandma, she made comments. I was the second in line of all the grandchildren on my dad's side. He had two sisters. And my cousin, the oldest, was a female, or is a female. And my grandma used to, when we hit puberty, used to tell us we needed to be married by 18 and having children. Well, I immediately told myself, tell me what I'm going to do and da 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 da. Well, my cousin struggled with that, and that hindered her in relationships. But anyway, I did date boys because things were changing, and the more the pressure was on me that I was growing into this female because my body was changing. But my inner person wasn't changing. I mean, I still did what I needed to do and acted the way I needed to act, but I just had to be cautious now. Not with my mom and dad, but just because I was raised in a church and I did go to church. It was choice. My parents didn't force us, but it got me out of the home because I didn't have they fought a lot. So I wanted to be out of it there. And so I did choose to be active in sports, at school, in band, and in church to be away from home more. So that being said, I look back on my life and thought, okay, I faced each hurdle believing that just knowing I was a guy. I mean, in my relationships, of course, they were all according to people looking in from outside. They were lesbian relationships, which I never claimed to be. But I was always just felt my partners always took me as the male, my first two especially because they were heterosexual women. Everything about me was just natural. And it was natural for them because they were used to a guy treating them the way they were treated. So that's kind of how I just grew up. It's just like now. I still act and talk the way I've always talked, but the difference now is that now I know people see me for me. And sometimes it's weird. Sometimes it's weird to, like, I'm totally, I'm not in the closet here, but I have not come out to any of my neighbors here. And for why? I mean, I don't really, we talk about things neighbors talk about when we see each other, but we're not hanging out with each other. And sometimes it blows my mind how they just see me for Ethan. No, I mean, no clue about anything else. And but there's little things. Now, let me ask you guys: is there little things that just makes you just kind of smile and shake your head because um, I'll do something and I'll say that to myself if they only knew. Or sometimes it's weird when Tony refers to me to the dogs, our children, as Papa, because at first Dad didn't sound right to me, so we chose Papa. And sometimes when she says it, it feels a little weird because although I've been transitioning for 9 years, it still once in a while just gets me because I was brainwashed. I mean, that's the way I lived my life. So I don't know. It was interesting to me that I still do that, and I probably will always do that. But it for me, the one thing I have watched other transgender people go through was they thought when they started transitioning that everything would go away. And week after week in our group meetings, they would talk about the same thing. And sometimes I would intervene, and say, well, have you changed the way you see things this way? Or have you changed the way your attitude is towards it? Or what is your expectations? Do you have high expectations that all of a sudden people should treat you like a female? And you know, I mean, yes, they should try, but this is a work in progress. And I just sometimes get not disappointed in the people, but it just seems like to me that if gender identity was your main issue growing up, whatever, or you just came out and figured out that's what you were or have, if you don't try to change with it, if you don't try to address some of the issues, if you still have them while you're transitioning, or if you've already transitioned, if you still have them, then gender identity wasn't the root of the evil. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? You we've got to be healthy. And if for us who have gender identity, if your choice is to medically transition, that doesn't mean everything's going to go away. When I look at the person in the mirror, I am ecstatic because now people can see who I am. I'm still the same person, and I still struggle with the same issues I had prior. Well, not all. I mean, a lot of them I got rid of because you inhibit some of these things because you have gender identity, and then once you transition, you can flourish. And I have flourished, but there are things how I react to things, what my philosophy is sometimes about things, my ideology, my opinions. And so I still work on that every day because I'm not perfect just because I transitioned into male. Uh, so just ask yourself, if you're transitioning, you seem to still have some of the same issues. Okay, so transitioning gender identity was not the root of the problem. And try to start working on it, and try to let go of the negativity around it. Okay, some of us, I think all of us have been a victim at some time or another, whether as children or adolescents or adults, just because everybody is everybody's screwed up in some way, shape, or form. But start turning to why you act that way, or why do you want people to perceive you this way, or why do you think that everyone's always picking on you and bullying you, or what is it about you, the reason why you can't get a job? Is it really because you want a job? Or, I mean, is it because you really don't want a job? I mean, ask yourself these deep things. Process it. Don't get onto yourself. You're not here to slam a hammer down on your head. But growing is most important, and especially with us trans people. We are transitioning into the person we always have been, and we've got to grow with that. So we have a short time, especially for us that are adults and already lived half our lives. We have a short time to go through our childhood, our adolescence, and all that stuff. So don't be so hard on yourself, but don't be hard on others either. And if you're still not happy, let's get to the root of the cause and see if we can't work on that and change the way we talk about it, change the way we react about it, change the way maybe we think about it, how it should be, and just say, you know what, I would like it to be. It may not ever get that way because it probably may 9 times out of 10 involve somebody else, and you can't force someone else to react or treat or talk the way you want them to. So I'm just trying to cram this in. It's a long video, but I haven't talked in a while. But yeah, I'm still staying busy here. Uh, we'll talk about my projects here on the next video. And I'll probably do a video probably after surgery, let you know how things are going. So guys, take it one day at a time. Always make your journey as simple as possible. We'll talk to you later.